What's up, everybody? Stacking Surfer here, your favorite YouTube stacker, back with another awesome video. And today I'm at Goldbacks. See that up there? Right there? That's where I'm at. So this is pretty awesome. So I'm pretty excited. I'm going to meet with Benjamin today, and we're going to talk about Goldbacks. He's from the Goldback Corporation. And we're going to find out, are Goldbacks, are they worth it? Is it worth buying Goldbacks? Is it a stacking strategy? Is it something that, that is going to be able to help you have sound money, help you in barter situations? Is it something you can use today? And we're going to talk a little bit more about the history of them. We're going to talk about what other states they're coming to. And in addition to that, we're going to find out how do we use them. So I'm going to take you on a journey. Surfer, I think I'm your best friend. Balances in your bank instead.
But you know, one of the reasons why we did the Goldback, though, is it's honest money. The Goldback creates accountability because you actually have to have the gold in your hand, and then, you know, really truly exchange something of real value for something of real value. It kind of de-gamifies money. So much of our money now is on our smartphones. You know, I pull up my smartphone, I scan my Apple Pay or something, and bam, the little numbers change on all these different little ledgers.
Completely true.
And so what is money? What is money at that point? It's numbers on ledgers. Whereas the Goldback, it's a fully cash system. And so it's something of real value that is an actual asset, not a debt instrument, not a ledger number, a physical thing of real value that you have to exchange. And it changes the way you spend your money a little bit.
Because it's got the real gold, it is holding gold.
It is the gold, yeah. I've had a couple people, when they grabbed a Goldback, say, oh, so what you're saying is you'd trade me real gold for this. And I'm like, no, that is the real gold. This is the gold.
What I want to do is, if everybody can see this, I brought these Valcombi bars with me on the plane. And so, you know, one of the things is I had a comment on YouTube the other day from someone telling me that you cannot take gold on an airplane.
This is not true in my experience. For example, not only have I taken some various amounts, my wallet, I carry gold everywhere I go in my wallet. I imagine you do. Because this is the cash I use here in Utah. But we also sell it, and we go to events, right? I don't want to be targeted or anything, but I brought definitely in excess of many tens of thousands of dollars worth of gold on a plane before.
And you haven't declared it to the TSA people?
No, actually, at one point I had a set of display cases in my luggage. I wanted to be careful with that. That set off their alarms. There's all these little plates of gold and stuff like that in there. You know, they're like some kind of metal wrapped in plastic and all this stuff in there. We want to check that out. I asked for a private screening, and they politely opened it up. I said, "These are the products that we sell. This is gold." And they looked at it, and they put it all back, and they said, "Have a good day," and let me go. Oh, good. So they did.
With the wallet, though, have you ever had to do that as a screening, or you can
No,
go
the wallet, no one's ever bothered.
Yeah, okay.
No one's ever even noticed, really, with the wallet.
So, Benjamin, one thing I think would be awesome is to understand, you know, why do I have this in my wallet? You know, it's a denomination smaller than a tenth of an ounce gold coin.
Yeah.
However, it doesn't go small enough, does it?
These one little piece, each of these little pieces is 1 gram. It says on it, right? 1 gram of fine gold. Yep. And that's only, of course, if you break it apart, which is kind of a bummer too. I mean, the writing on the front is broken down to the 1 gram size, but not on the back. This is probably the closest thing we have to a natural competitor in the market right now.
Okay.
The Goldback really has no rival. It is the only fully monetary system made out of precious metals. However, this is an amazing barter tool, right? That's why they came up with this. Is in some barter situation, you could break it down. You could bend it, break off the little 1 gram pieces, and negotiate with 1 gram of gold. But 1 gram of gold is still really quite valuable. I mean, 1 gram of gold, it depends on the form that it's in, but sometimes people will sell a gram of gold for $80, $90, sometimes even. What if you can't make change smaller than that? And what if you just want any price that isn't in those increments? There's just no way to do that with any other gold product in the world, right? Other than the Goldback. The Goldback goes down to the $4 denomination. 1 Goldback is only worth about $4. And so all the way down to breaking it down into $4 pieces, you can do that with the Goldbacks instead of $80 pieces or something like that.
I think that's great. And so how durable are they?
So they're quite durable. One of the things that I've teased with, I've done a little contest once or twice, where I will hand people a Goldback and say, if you can rip that in half, I will give you a prize. And I've offered as much as 100 Goldbacks for a prize in exchange, about $400 worth, for someone who could rip it in half. I have never had anybody with their bare hands be able to rip a Goldback in half. They're waterproof. It's basically laminated gold, right? So you've got a gold sandwich there.
Okay.
The gold itself, of course, is soft. It's not very strong. And, of course, it's a huge surface area on the Goldback. So the gold is very thin, especially on the one. But there's a type of proprietary polyester. It's a form of polyester, actually, that we use that's clear, that laminates it on both sides. And, yeah, it's well nigh unrippable. Now, it is burnable. Or you could cut it with a good pair of scissors. I suppose you could cut a real serious gold coin, a 1 ounce gold coin, with a good pair of scissors. But
probably.
But it's burnable, and that's intentional because the gold is actually fully recoverable from a Goldback. If you put it in a crucible, the polyester will fully vaporize at a lower temperature than the gold melts. The gold will just congeal into a nice little droplet, and you'll end up with that little BB of gold that you can pull out, test, and prove that you have exactly the amount of gold promised you in one of these Goldbacks.
That's awesome, actually. I might have to try that one of these days.
So it's called a fire assay. I wouldn't advise your average person to just light one on fire with a lighter. You want to use a proper crucible. You want to know what you're doing. But
I don't have one yet, so when I get one, I might do that. Okay, another question is, what about, a lot of people that are in the stacking community are pretty uptight about having brilliant, uncirculated quality gold, especially with their coins, especially when you get to like a 24 karat gold that dents real easily.
Sure.
I've made the mistake
of... The Buffaloes, for example, they're so fragile, being 24 karat.
So I'd imagine these are definitely much more durable than that.
Oh, for sure.
And what if they get a crease in them? What if someone bends them and puts them in a wallet?
Well, as far as we're concerned, the gold is still in there. It's still a Goldback. It still has its full face value. The company actually does fully redeem them. If they're damaged, defective, old, getting worn out, anything like that, we will trade you for a brand new one anytime.
Okay.
There's because the whole point is it's meant to be a circulating currency. Well, yeah, they do get beat up sometimes. I don't suppose I have a good example on me because the ones in my wallet are laying flat, but I've seen some very beat up Goldbacks. Some of them, especially from 2019, that have been sitting in somebody's pocket or in their wallet without any protection since 2019. They've gotten pretty beat up. But if the gold is still in there, it is still a Goldback. We will still redeem it. One defect that occasionally happens, it's less than 1%, it's a lot less than 1%, is that the lamination will start to peel. If that happens, our advice is please just send that back in, no questions asked, we will absolutely replace that.
Okay.
Yeah, barring a couple of those things, they're well nigh indestructible, at least by regular wear and tear, what you're going to do to them. And of course, if you want to keep them in pristine condition, in a frame, in a collector's book, things like that, yeah, they'll stay pristine indefinitely if you take good care of them. It's one of the reasons why we came out with a Goldback wallet. You can get a special wallet for Goldbacks. What's the difference? A Goldback wallet is literally just a checkbook style wallet. So that way you don't leave a crease.
I've got one myself, and I've got a full set of Utah, and I've been dying for like 2 years to get up here and use them.
Awesome. Now, here's a question for you. Have you used them in California? Because they're still gold, no matter where you go.
I haven't, because I didn't fully understand. That's part of why I'm here interviewing, is to understand. So this leads to another question. How many states have Goldbacks that are for their state? And what do you do like in California where I don't have a California Goldback, but I might have Utah? How do I use those?
So in California, of course, it's still gold. You can always barter with it. You can always trade with it. You can always, you could take it like you would with these other forms of gold, and you'd take it to a gold dealer and sell it back. But that's not the point with the Goldback. The point with the Goldback is just to spend it. So one of the things I'll often do is I will pull out a cash tip at a restaurant in Goldbacks and in paper dollars. And I'll just say to the server, I'll say, hey, how would you like that? Would you like your tip in paper or in gold today? I tell you what, it's fairly rare for them to say they want the paper. They're like, oh my gosh, gold? That's so freaking cool. They check it out. But of course, beyond the garage sales, farmers markets, tipping, stuff like that, if you have an actual local business and you ask the business owner, hey, would you like some inflation-resistant money instead of paper? Can I pay you in these Goldbacks today? Even if it's their very first exposure to what a Goldback is, about half of them will say yes. Because who doesn't want to be able to have the value of holding precious metals instead of the dollar, which is losing its value to inflation every day? So why not? Why wouldn't I do it? And so a lot of them will say yes. So yeah, even in California, give it a try. Now, what states do we have it in? We have active business networks circulating these Goldbacks in 4 states right now.
Okay.
But we're about to have a 5th. September 19th, just pretty soon, September 19th, 2023, is when it rolls out in South Dakota. And so right now we're preparing the people of South Dakota to start having their own inflation-proof money there. Okay. So South Dakota is about to have their own series, right? And it just came out so beautifully. It's really, really pretty. The one has a hoop dancer on it. That we've already done a sneak peek. I can give you a picture of the one. You can't see the rest of them until September 1st. That's when we're going to reveal what they all look like, and pre-orders will start at all of our distributors across the country. All the major bullion houses are going to be carrying them, and you can start pre-orders on September 1st. And then you'll see all the designs, and they really came out very, very nice. I mean, the 50 is probably my favorite of the 50s. It's got Lady Liberty, and she's like striding forward with her sword drawn, and her shield says, "Under God, the people rule," which is one of the mottos of South Dakota. It's got Mount Rushmore in the background and all kinds of the different symbols and images of the state. It's really quite lovely.
So what if someone wants their state to get involved in this?
So there's a couple of things we need in order for a jurisdiction to be really ripe for it.
Okay.
Ideally, we would have a state law in place. And this is one of the reasons why we're doing it state by state. People say, why don't you just make an American Goldback or a worldwide Goldback? Why do it by these jurisdictions? There's a couple of things that protect us legally. I'm an attorney, and so this is something I get very wonky about. I get very excited about. Certain states, such as Utah, Utah passed the Legal Tender Act. And actually, we've got some commemoration of that.
Oh, awesome.
This here is the pen it was signed with and so forth. As well as commemorative gold and silver coins we made for it. The Utah Legal Tender Act basically says that gold and silver are legal tender for the payment of taxes in the state of Utah, and that there will be no capital gains taxes on the nominal exchange differences between the purchase and sale price of your gold. So for example, if you bought gold at $1,500 an ounce, and then you sell it for $2,000 an ounce now, you would have realized a $500 capital gain as far as the IRS is concerned. And in some states, their state income taxes would also recognize that as a capital gain. But Utah had the sense to say, well, that's not an actual gain. Gold is money. And so you haven't gained or lost anything if you simply have exchanged a piece of gold. So that's the purpose of that law. State to have an investor or sponsor who helps us get the printing underway. So we can't print our money out of thin air the way the Federal Reserve does. We have to manufacture it out of real 24-karat gold, right? So we need somebody who's willing to pre-purchase, essentially, a bunch of that gold through what's called our lease program, lease it back to us. And that allows us to expand our production capacity and start the circulation in that region. And then third, we need participation. People need to actually be spending it, using it, circulating it. We need businesses signing up saying, hey, I'll take payment in gold. I want to be part of this. And then proportional to the population of that state, when we get that sponsorship and those businesses on board, the business association on board that wants to circulate it, then we'll start planning out how we can produce and launch in that state.
I think that's awesome.
So we've even got a couple of states that, wouldn't you know it, I can't say it on a recording because I'm not authorized to announce it yet. But there are, of course, multiple other states and jurisdictions around the world that we're working on right now. Well, there are actually several jurisdictions that already have business networks that are already circulating the Goldbacks from the states that we have operational. They're just circulating Goldbacks as Goldbacks, regardless of what state it says on it. that are already large enough business networks to launch in some of those states. So we're just hoping that we keep getting people calling in, going to goldback.com and signing up their business, because it costs nothing for you to give us your business information and say, hey, if Goldbacks could come to my state, I'd be interested in participating. And we just take down that information. We don't publish it or publicize it yet, but we'll collect that info. And then when we do have enough interested businesses, then we can get them all networking. And that's really where the power comes in with the local currency. When you can circulate sound money in that business network, that money doesn't go to China, that money doesn't go to Wall Street, that money stays on Main Street. It really builds those local businesses as they circulate the money, right? So on goldback.com, there is a little bit of a breakdown for each of the published designs, telling you a little bit about why each of the designs. But I will tell you, there are Easter eggs that are not even on the website goldback.com that I could point out small little details that might surprise a few people, you know. But in general, you should look for the history and the stories and the symbols of each state and jurisdiction that we operate in. Okay. So, for example, the Utah series tells the story of Utah history. The one is from the original historical period, right? It's a Native American woman with items from each of the tribes. There are 8 different reservations in the state of Utah, and she carries with her something from each. The 5 represents the pioneer period in Utah. The 10, the underground period it was called, when there was a whole lot of dispute with the federal government, the Utah War and whatnot. The 25 commemorates the fact that women earned the right to vote. Utah was actually the very first state in which women voted in an election. And then the 50, somewhat timeless design of Lady Liberty, features things like the state tree, the state flowers are in the grass around her feet, and things like that. So there are hidden little messages, and there's ones that are a little more obvious than others. Yeah, here's one that's not on the website, and actually not on the 2019. We came up with a slightly updated design in 2022 for the Utah Goldback, and there's a tiny inscription to the side that you couldn't quite see in the original that has a reference to the original gold coins that were actually minted here in the West back in the 1850s and 60s.
I think that's great.
Yep. So the first thing that you see on goldback.com is the exchange rate, and the calculator, and you can look up the participating vendors. But don't be limited. Don't be limited to only shopping with the ones that are already on the network. How do new people join the network? Somebody has to go into their shop and say, hey, would you take payment in gold, and show them the Goldback. And like I said, a lot of times they'll say yes, and then maybe they'll sign up and join the network. And every time we do that, I believe that we are forwarding the cause of freedom. You see, if you're waiting for the feds to give you freedom, or you're waiting for the feds to rescue you, it's not going to happen. What freedom is the right and the power to just take action, to do something good, to build something, to create something. You don't need anyone's permission for that. Just go out there and circulate the Goldbacks, and then you will be circulating sound money, honest money, and establishing a basis of wealth for yourself and the other people you're doing business with. Little by little, that really is what we need for our freedom, so that we can secure our financial future.
But one of the things I'm trying to do with my channel too, and we've got some motions in the community that we're working on, is how do we barter? How do we start using this? Mm-hmm. Why are we waiting for some kind of catastrophe to happen? We should be using it today. And
that's the difference. For a lot of preppers, they'll say, well, I'm stacking gold and silver now just in case for the future. You don't have to wait. The Goldbacks are already circulating right now. You got to start doing it now, or otherwise you won't even know what you're doing if SHTF, right?
Yes.
You've got to start actually using it, circulating in your communities. One of the best ways to do that would be to make a price list. And it's amazing how aware that will make you of the inflation problem that we have in America today. Before I came on with Goldback, I managed a small law firm. And we were one of the earliest adopters to say that we would accept payment in the Goldback from our clients. And so I made a price list that showed our hourly rates in dollars and in Goldbacks, and also the the flat fee things that we did at our law firm, such as creating an estate plan and a trust.
Okay.
And so I had the price in dollars and the price in Goldbacks. And the price in Goldbacks reflected a 10% discount because I wanted to favor the Goldbacks, encourage more people to bring the Goldbacks in to pay in that method. And so I made this little price list and I published it. Well, a year goes by and somebody comes in and they say, oh, well, I'm going to pay you in dollars. And I said, well, I'd like to encourage you to use the Goldbacks. It should be 10% off. He said, no, I'm paying you in dollars because you're charging me too much. If it's in Goldbacks, I'd be overpaying. And I said, oh, no, that can't be right. Well, turns out I hadn't adjusted it for a year. The dollars were worth more, had dropped in value, and the Goldbacks had appreciated in value. There was almost a 20% difference. They were not getting a 10% discount. They were getting like a 7% markup for paying in Goldbacks. And it made me go, oh, wow. Well, I'm not changing my Goldback prices, but I definitely need to increase my dollar prices because I'm getting left behind on all this inflation.
Okay, so right there, that's the key. So I think a lot of people, what they're not realizing, and this goes back to the whole, let's just call it income tax or sale, I guess it would be income tax on selling gold that you bought previously and the price has gone up. The gold doesn't change. It always stays the same.
Right, the gold is what's stable. It's the dollar that's fluctuating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so technically, just because there's inflation and my dollar's been debased doesn't mean that I should have to pay a tax on that again.
Right, it's already post-tax money. It's your money. Yeah, and
I
so
agree.
we would like to encourage states to adopt that. I actually have a model legislation that I'm happy to send your legislators if people are interested in doing that. Because really, you shouldn't have to pay tax on money you already own. It's just money.
Yeah, I don't know about my governor. They just upped the sales tax from $1,500 to $2,000 for precious metals.
Because they want there to be taxes on money.
Yes.
See, that's the wrong direction.
Yeah. California might be a hard one to fight, but we'll see what we can do.
Really, it can be good for the whole state, though. I think that there's good arguments both for liberals and conservatives that you want to encourage your local commerce to function smoothly.
I think so too.
There's really, and everybody wants small business to thrive. So I think that we can make a really good argument that from any partisan or political persuasion that really money should be neutral ground. Everybody should recognize that monetary policy, if it's honest and it's simple and it supports local business, is better for everybody.
I agree. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking some time with us today. And hopefully we'll see more interviews in the future with you guys as well as on other channels.
Yep.
And, for me, really, this is about building community. It's about figuring out how do we start to use real money again in society. And I think this is a great way to do it.
Yep. So we say there's 3 steps to bringing back the gold standard. First step, you have to understand that there's a problem with our monetary system and why we would want to get on the gold standard. Anybody who's watched this video has already done step 1. Step 2 is you got to get some gold in your wallet. You have to actually have it to spend. Otherwise, it's just theoretical. But if you've got some in your wallet and you know the problem, the third and final step is you have to spend it. If you actually start to use it, you've already brought back the gold standard. You don't have to wait for anybody else to do it for you. You've already done it.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.